Please join us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Second item is the items to be removed from the consent agenda. Does anyone have anything to be removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Buseball. Yay. Mr. Gabbard.
Yay.
Mr. Wade.
Yay. Under special activities, we have the Warren County Sheriff Larry Sitt. Sheriff.
I sincerely appreciate always coming out here to share a few things going on with the office and the county, and I'm not going to certainly go through the report. You can go through that at your leisure. Just a couple things I'll mention. We did have our two K-9s that retired a year ago. We've since replaced them, and the two replacements are in training right now for the next several weeks and should be out on their own and doing their typical drug enforcement efforts, those kind of things. We did add a King School District. We had a school resource officer down there for a number of years, and beginning this school year, in the fall of last year, they added a second school resource officer that handles some of the elementary school buildings and kind of floats back and forth between them. And that's paid for by the township, actually. And the other one is paid for by the schools. And then the only other thing I was going to mention, I thought, if you weren't aware, I'd just kind of give you an update on where we are with the jail, and then if you had any questions about anything else, I'll certainly answer those. We are set to break ground on July 15th, and there is a groundbreaking, ground moving, if you will, that actually begins May 27th, because they're going to have to move Justice Drive. The new complex, or the new sheriff's office and jail is going to be in our same complex, but it's going to be on the south side, if you will, of the Board of Elections, between Cook Road and the Board of Elections. And in order for them to have enough space, they're going to swing Justice Drive closer to that school. So that little leg between Cook and Memorial Drive will actually swing closer to the school and then reconnect at the end again, and they'll be able to use that land there. The jail will go from 280 beds to 468 beds. And then the sheriff's office is actually going to move as well. Really not sure what the plans are with the existing jail. The sheriff's office component is actually going to be taken over by the county court. So we'll be able to expand and make use of the office space there. There's some discussion about converting some of that jail space into to allow some of the service providers to provide some either mental health or drug rehab there. There's some early conversations about that. I'm not sure what that'll look like. But we are kind of hearing those things right now and sitting in some of the meetings, but no formal plans have been made. The jail, when it breaks ground, it's 22 months, so we got a ways to wait yet. According to the architects, we're meeting with the architects about every 4 weeks. They're giving us updates. We just met with them this past Friday. They've completed the ground boring, and there's some of the soil that has to be replaced, but nothing significant. So they're completed with that. So hopefully there will be nothing else that kind of slows projects down, but how that is. So we're kind of excited about that. Other than that, I mean, that's kind of where we are. Kind of, you hate to say it, same old in our office. Our calls for service last year were actually down a couple thousand from the previous year. Nothing real significant in there. It's just kind of spread across all those types of calls throughout the year. Steve's going to talk about drug stuff, and I won't steal any of that, but we've been tracking, and I'm sure he'll talk about that. The overdoses, overdose deaths are down, but there's some, I think you'll hear him talk about some of the reasons behind all that too. So, but I mean, that's kind of short, sweet. if you have any questions about anything, I will leave it to Steve and go from there.
I'm curious real quick,
Yeah.
Sheriff, the Kings local district, I did not realize that do you service their area as
Yes.
well? Okay.
Yeah, they're actually our primary school, we're their primary responsibility law enforcement wise. We have
Okay.
pockets of other school buildings in the county that fall under our jurisdiction, but a lot of them have their own police jurisdictions, and they're primarily in ours.
Okay.
And that's because of Deerfield Township, which is we service that post.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to connect the dots down there and couldn't.
Yeah. Yep. All right, very good.
Thank you.
It's all yours, man.
I'm up. Thank you, sir. You're tough to follow, Sheriff. Thank you again. Thanks for having me back again this year. I can't believe it's been a year since we're staying here, but back again to say thank you and to distribute our annual report on behalf of the Drug Task Force. So you have that in front of you. Hopefully you can take some time later to flip through that. As always, I try to highlight a few cases in there, just so you have some idea of what we're doing, and talk about some of the general numbers in there. I'd like to hit just a few points, if I can, real quick, and then I'll be glad to take any questions that you have. So 2018, the basic structure of our Drug Task Force remained the same. We're still a multi-jurisdictional Drug Task Force. We service all of Warren County and the city of Wilmington, so nothing changed as far as our area of operation goes. We remain an initiative of the Ohio HIDA. For those of you who remember from last year, I explained it again in the annual report, but HIDA stands for High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area. It's a federal program that requires the collaboration of federal, state, and local law enforcement. So it pushes us all under one roof with the same mission to target drug trafficking offenses within our jurisdiction. So it's a fantastic program. As the task force commander, I continue to report to a policy board, which is made up of sheriff, prosecutor, Chief Terrell, and chiefs from 15 different agencies within our county. So once a month, we meet. The first Tuesday of every month is meeting Tuesday, and I brief the policy board on active investigations that the drug task force has been a part of for the past month. So all that remained the same in 2018. We maintained a staff of 23 personnel. That includes our detective staff, our uniform interdiction troopers from the Highway Patrol. They still assign a team to our drug task force. That's a 6-person team. 4 of those are canines. We're looking forward to getting the sheriff's office canines back on the street again because depending on where we're operating at, we use that jurisdiction's canine to support us, but it's really nice to have the Highway Patrol as part of our team. Our staff comes to us from 12 different law enforcement agencies, so that includes the FBI, DEA, BCI from out of the Ohio Attorney General's office, the Ohio National Guard continues to provide an intel analyst to us as well. Funding throughout 2018, I wish I had a different story to tell about our funding, and I know everyone here understands the difficulties that we have with that. It's rather complicated on what keeps us afloat every year. Funding remains pretty inconsistent, unpredictable, but we continue to operate off of one federal grant, which is it's called the Justice Assistance Grant, the Drug Law Enforcement Grant, which is a state grant. The HIDA program provides some funding to us as well. The Warren County Commissioners continue to make a financial contribution to us, as well as all of our local communities to include Clear Creek Township. So thank you for that. A couple quick drug trends. The sheriff mentioned heroin, fentanyl overdoses. We talked about overdoses being down. That is true. We experienced a pretty significant decrease in our seizures of heroin and fentanyl during 2018. In fact, about an 88% decrease in our actual seizures of heroin and fentanyl. Our investigations were down as far as that particular drug goes as well. At the same time, we experienced a very significant spike in crystal methamphetamine. Methamphetamine increased from 2017 to 2018 about 142%. Looking at our seizure data here in Warren County, so significant spike. All drug task forces in Ohio that are funded by grants are required to submit seizure data to the state of Ohio on a weekly basis. So Warren County was the 6th highest in the state of Ohio for methamphetamine seizures. And I always tell everybody that, while this is a fantastic county to live in, we can't change the geographical location of where we're located. So we're sandwiched between two serious source cities, Dayton and Cincinnati. They prey upon our addicted population every day. So we're out there doing the best we can do to kind of push that back north and south of us, as we were talking before the meeting. So we remain very busy. Heroin fentanyl, although please don't misunderstand that decreased seizure amount, we still have significant problems with overdoses. So although overdose death data was down, in 2017, I believe Warren County had 102 overdose deaths. 2018, we had 52. So it's heading in the right direction. We attribute that to aggressive enforcement actions, also a big push to get people into treatment. Our courts are trying to get those who want help, to get them the help that they want. Also, the availability of naloxone and Narcan. A lot of first responders now, law enforcement-wise, are carrying that, which has saved a lot of lives in 2018. Overall data, we had 768 cases, as you'll see. Detectives handled 482 of those. Interdiction staff handled 286 of those. We had 300 felony arrests. Many of our cases, as you know, they don't just wrap up in a couple of months. Some of them will go over to the next year, which many of those did. We had 125 search warrants, and we seized 85 firearms. So thank you very much. Again, we appreciate this relationship that we have with Clear Creek Township. We thank your chief for serving on our policy board. The contribution that you make to us, we don't take that for granted. We need that to operate. We appreciate the community here in Clear Creek that calls us, gives us tips. We can't operate without that either. So thank you very much, and hopefully you'll allow me to come back next year. I'm glad to take any questions if you have any.
Any questions?
But I do have a check that I'd like to give him.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you, sir.
I want to present this check on behalf of Clear Creek Township and thank you personally for the work that you do.
Thank you, sir.
We appreciate you making our community a safer place to live and pray that you guys stay safe and keep us safe as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Here, let me get in one more picture. I need it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you. Greatly appreciate it. See you. And we have, next on the agenda is the fiscal officer's report.
Yes, sir. I have a couple items for you today. Number one, I had training last week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's state mandated training that all fiscal officers have to be able to maintain their educational certifications. So I attended that and in Columbus, and happy to report that I learned a couple things that we're going to be changing. One of those things, as you're going to see in our minutes, we're going to also say in associated financial reports. Evidently, the auditor feels that if it doesn't show up in the minutes, it never happened. So even though you sign it, we're going to add a few more words at the end of approval of the minutes and associated financial documents. So even though you sign them, we have to put them in the minutes. So that's one. And then I've been working with Matt on setting up a financial plan for the township and for our major funds. And what that is we're going to look back at the prior 2 years of data, which is the hard actual data. Then we look at the current year that we're in, the budgetary year. And then we look 4 years out to see what sort of trend analysis that we can make as far as where we're going with our money and what our balances are going to be and how we can make hopefully very good longer term decisions with that. Of course, like any document like that, it's only as good as the amount of time and effort that we put into it and the inputs with it. So I'm going to be meeting with Matt and coming together with that. We'll be able to come up with a document that you guys will be able to look at and see where we're going, and see if there's anything of concern that we need to be looking at in terms of changing our behaviors now and for the future, or whether we're just going to continue on the way we have been. So, looking forward to that, and I wanted to let you know that that's something that I wanted to get done, and we are getting it done.
Good. Very good. Anything else for us?
No, sir, that's it.
Anybody have any questions for us? Moving on to public comment. Do we have anything? No? All right. New business administration, we have resolution 5155. This is the first reading. It's a resolution authorizing the township administrator to enter into a new master service agreement with our electric aggregation program. Anybody have any questions about that?
Rich Sears from Energy Alliance is here to briefly talk to us about rates and quotes and what to expect the next few months in preparation for renewal.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you for having me.
State your name for us.
Sure. My name is Rich Sears, and I'm with Energy Alliances. We are the consultant that was selected by Clear Creek almost about 4 years ago at this point. The program itself is coming to an end, and it's going to the third year. So as you know, right now there's currently an aggregation program inside the township. Current price is $5.39. That started in August of 2016, and that will expire this August. So that'll be the end of the 36-month deal. As we were looking at kind of what was coming up this year and kind of where prices have been, that's why I reached out to Mr. Clark and said, I think we have some good pricing. I think we could see some pretty good things. So about a month ago, we ran an RFP. We reached out to 5 suppliers and received some of the pricing back. And the recommendation I made to Mr. Clark, and obviously part of the agenda today, was that the township would stay with Dynegy Energy Services as the provider on the renewal. They were the best price. Because we don't have a signed contract just set, I'll leave out sort of some of the details, but right now we're looking to be somewhere around a little bit over 8% lower on the pricing moving forward compared to where it is. Obviously, this is the first reading. I believe we'll do a second reading in a couple of weeks. So, there could be a little bit of volatility in the market. I don't expect things to move too much, but either way, I think it's definitely moved in the right direction. That's lower, and I don't see why things will not continue to stay quite a bit lower than where the current price is for the aggregation program.
When we have the second reading, and if we decide to approve it, will that lock in the rates as of that time? We don't have to wait for August?
Nope. No. So as far as steps, assuming that we still like where the price comes in at the second reading, and that the current agreement, everybody's happy with that, I'll have them refresh pricing, just like I was prepared for this morning. I'll have them refresh pricing the morning of the 25th. Another representative for Energy Alliances will be here. I'm actually taking my kid on spring break that week, but somebody else will be here for that. So, and you guys will know the price that well after that morning. As soon as you agree to it and we have a signed agreement, we'll let Dynegy know when we go. So lock in at that point. So that will lock in the price, and then obviously with the program not stopping till August, sort of the next couple steps, sometime early in the summer, so around June, letters will go back out to at this point everybody. We just recently did a sweep of only a couple of hundred people who were not in the program, but because this is a new price and sort of the start of the new program, letters will go out to every eligible resident and small business in the township, probably sometime in June. At that point, we'll lay out the new price, new terms, and give people a chance to opt out of that initial period. As we do with all of our programs, there is no termination fee. So even if people want to come and go, if they get in June or July when the program starts for August and they decide in September they want out, they can leave. No termination fee, just as if a year from now they decide they want to get in, they could call us, and we can reach out to Dynegy and get them opted in for a charge either. So that's one thing we really love about our programs, is with no termination fees, it really gives no financial risk to the resident.
Okay.
Do we have a link to that on the website? On our website?
I believe so. We got a date for it.
I get a lot of questions about that, of people that don't know, even though you can send them 15 mailers. that'd be an easily accessible link, as long as we don't break any rules. I wouldn't know what they would be.
Really, all we have to do is link
What
to
do
the.
they like that? So, yeah, it's something that we decided to do for the community, and I think it's a huge benefit, and it's been one for me personally, as a resident, so.
Well, we can just link to the energy aggregation website that's out there with a little bit of explanation. Because there's a website that has all of the local participants, communities, I should say.
I need to double check, I think down you may have one exclusive for the township too, so I'll go with this part, and you may have it.
Can we also have part of that explaining or, excuse me, confirming the average savings per resident and the total saved for all the residents?
Yeah, so we can walk through that. And so I've run the numbers just recently.
Yeah.
Going into this winter, the township is taking nearly $200,000 over the first 2.5 years of the program. So I would expect, as the amount of calls we've got, I know we'll take a little bit of a dip over the winter, just the way the price structure is kind of in DP now. It definitely, we'll say, favors those who use more in the winter time, but heading into July, I don't see why there will be low $20,000 of savings over the 3 years of program. So when that's all said and done, I'll have those reports sent to us.
So the new pricing for the per kilowatt hour actually doesn't take effect and become effective until August?
Correct, so it will take effect on their August meter read, so those participating will see on their September bill. And then really, for those that are already in the program, well, for everybody, it's a very seamless transaction, but for those that are already in the program, that line item will likely look very much the same. It'll just change the kilowatt hours from 5.3 down to whatever the request is. So those in the program already, outside of getting the opt-out letters in the late spring or summer, they're not going to notice anything different except the bills going down.
What participation level are we looking at right now?
So right now we have just a little bit over 3,000 people in the program. That's across both Duke and DP. Because you guys are sort of unique and expand
Yeah.
service there.
What was the rate this morning?
So as of this morning, the rate was 4.95. That was roughly 42% less. So assuming that the market will cooperate over the next couple of weeks, who knows?
Really?
But we'll do our best. I mean, that you know, that right now, that's the number in everybody's head. So we'll work with them outside of anything crazy, but do our best to get for that or better.
Okay.
Do you?
Anybody have any questions for Rich? We appreciate you coming in.
Thank you
very much, and we'll see you someone.
Somebody will be here in that.
Yeah.
I won't be here either, so don't worry about it.
Have a good trip.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rich.
Okay. Moving on to the road department, we have a request to purchase a new Freightliner dump truck, chassis, and equipment, and outfit for road operations at an estimated cost of
That'd be awesome.
$131,046.
We can get it for 31, we take 4 of them, wouldn't we?
Yeah, sign us up. Calvin, we were talking, Jason and I mentioned earlier that that's replacing the 2000 Sterling. And I'm sure we need another one right behind that, because I know that one's going to be a 02 or 03.
Then after that, we shouldn't need anything for several years, so, and that's any equipment, honestly, for several years, so.
Those trucks don't last forever.
No, they don't. And they've done a good job, just the Sterlings, we just, honestly, like it says in the memorandum, we honestly just can't get parts.
Can't get parts for them anymore?
It was $3,400 for a muffler, so we built one, so.
So you go through them.
Yeah. So,
Good for you.
we only had 400 in that we built, so, but it's over $3,000 just for a muffler, and we're ordering parts all over the country for those 2 trucks.
How soon do you think you can get it actually in?
We should have it here complete and done by November. It just takes such a long time to get the whole process done and have them out.
Yeah, ordering it a little bit earlier than we normally do.
Yes, sir. And we did go with the Freightliner instead of the Internationals. Our last 2 were Internationals. and working with, Washington Township and some of the other entities that are switching to the Freightliners. It's a much, you get, like this comes, if you're not aware from my memorandum, I don't think I put it in there, $4,400 difference. It's actually $4,400 more for the Freightliner outfitted with the Henderson equipment, but with that, you're getting a stainless bed. Everything underneath the truck is stainless. They run the hoses from the engine all the way to the rear of the truck in stainless. Then your hoses are a couple feet versus trying to track a hose from the rear to the front and snaking it through, and every time that happens, it's just a nightmare. It's hours to do, and just the whole overall, it's 350 horsepower versus 300 horsepower. It's just, everything about the truck is better, and everyone we've talked to are making the switch and for the stainless bed and all the stainless, virtually everything under the truck that is interchangeable with stainless. So it's just, you get so much more for the value. It's really a no-brainer.
Okay, is there a motion to approve this purchase for the road department?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. Anything else, Scott?
No, sir.
Okay. Fire district, we have a request to purchase a 2019 Tahoe staff vehicle, cost of approximately $45,000.
This was a 2019 budgeted item. The vehicle we replaced was actually slated to be replaced a few years ago, but we were able to get a couple extra years out of it. We did have to put $5,000 or nearly $5,000 into the vehicle. And the last thing was our transmission issue, and they said that any time the transmission's going to go out, so it's going to be more expensive to fix than to keep going, so it's time to cut bait and replace it.
Any questions for Steve about this purchase? Is there a motion to approve the purchase of this 2019 Tahoe?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. Anything else, Steve? Okay. Moving on to planning and zoning department, no new business, 2 weeks in a row.
That's good.
Consent agenda, sir.
No.
I have stuff for this down at the bottom.
All right. And police department, Chief, nothing tonight? No. Consent agenda, we have to talk about the fiscal officer approval of the minutes. We've done anything?
Now, just add, and we're gonna add those 2 extra and associated financial documents to it. That's it.
Not to throw a procedural monkey wrench in here, but we already voted on the consent agenda.
We don't have to go.
Yeah, you're done.
All right, well then I'll.
You're on the staff update.
Over to staff updates. Anything?
That's right, you have staff updates. Yeah.
There you go.
You spoke too soon. At the last meeting, someone came in, talking about, shipping containers and those starting to exist in township. There were 2 that he referenced. One that's close to Weisenberger and Pekin Road. That is under 200 square foot. So we were treating that as a shed based upon square footage. The newer one that you saw, which is on Pekin Road east of Utica, is a 360 square foot, but it's being used agriculturally. And it's full of ag equipment and horse equipment. So I'm not sure which direction you'd like me to go. I mean, ultimately, we can put them out as a prohibition in residential. We're still going to have them exist in agricultural lands. Or if it's something you say, continue on with the 200 square foot threshold. Just one direction, so I know how to proceed with the text.
200 square feet is still a 10 by 20. And right now, that's eligible to stay in residential zoning.
Yeah, at this point, the threshold for the building department between a permanent and a temporary structure is 200 square feet. That's their square footage threshold. If you then attach it to the ground, it becomes a permanent building by their statute. So we have fallen suit with anything that's below 200 square foot, not attached to the ground, 200 square foot and below, not attached to the ground, would be temporary. Anything above 200 square foot would be required to be attached to the ground, become a permanent structure. So since we don't have an aesthetic element for the buildings, the structures, we just fell into that as an option, which locally, has been my interpretation, but if it's
So
something that you guys
if I get a large container, and I drive Stacy and all that, where I put 4x6 posts in the ground and bolt it to it, that becomes a permanent structure.
Correct, so you would have to have a zoning permit at that point. Zoning would say, okay, are you meeting the minimum setback issues? If you're able to, then regular R1 zoning classification, 50-foot front yard, 10-foot per side, 10-foot rear, we would then say that's valid in our eyes to be an accessory. But,
Caveat being if it's agricultural use on sufficient acres, we can't question it.
correct, but,
It would be ag.
right, but for the purpose of first part of the discussion, that just means that the general public would have that option. If you're not wanting the general public to have a shipping container to be an option for an accessory structure, then we would talk about prohibiting those. And again, what Mr. Clark spoke of, we're never going to have control over top of agriculture. But
Well,
it's-
I just hate to see, if, you know, you have a half-acre lot and you put a 10 by 30 in your backyard, you could, and bolt, put posts around and bolt it down, you can do that, and I don't think that's a very attractive use. And personally, I see what these guys think, I think we ought to do something to try to control that.
I wouldn't have a problem with prohibiting it on the residential side, because it's an eyesore. I mean,
No, it's like-
I know it's a cheap alternative for a building, but
No,
Short term.
well, I think we're all in agreement like that. You might want to check and see what some other people have done, or if you have some good ideas, just write on it.
Well, I mean, ultimately, we're going to prohibit shipping containers as being permanent. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, but under 200 square feet.
Regardless of the size, but you would have to then allow for the normal pods to exist for people to move. So we have a provision
Right.
in there that it's no more than
30 days.
Yeah, some type of timeline to exist for the purpose of moving, then that would get there. So yeah, I think I have direction. I can do a text amendment and we'll put it in action.
You know, I certainly appreciate how they're attractive to, because what you can buy them for, and you know, set up in a good structure that's pretty tough, not gonna blow away very easily.
Yeah.
No.
No. Okay, anything else, anybody else have anything under staff updates?
I do, so Tony just wanted to bring to your attention that the price for the Eco Care treatment, that is the third year. So he said next year, don't look at it if it changes a little bit and be concerned. And they try to keep the same for 3 years, and this is the third year of the 3 years. So next year that may change, just so you're aware moving forward is all.
Anybody else have anything?
Mr.
Matt?
Tentative agreement with Warren County Soccer Association to use the field at Hoffman in the spring and fall. We've been working with them for months, quite frankly, going back and forth with the agreement, and we've got to hammer down to the right terms in terms of time and money. So probably bring that back before the board at the next meeting for consideration.
Are we circling back with the other major clubs that use our facilities, or are we?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
If you